So metabolites. Today we are going to talk about metabolic regulation and control under the topic under BCM 411. I want you to pay close attention as we begin this class, as the Spirit of God help us also. So first of all, we're going to talk about what metabolism is. So our first point of discussion is basically metabolism as a whole. Okay, forgive me. I'm going to talk about metabolism as a whole. Secondly, we are going to talk about the types. All right, it's necessary. Thirdly, we are going to talk about the stages of metabolism in the body. All right. Fourthly, we are going to talk about integration of metabolism. All right. Integration of metabolism. So basically, we are going to talk about all this for today. Then we proceed to the other subtopics of this particular course. So let's go to metabolism. What is metabolism? What is metabolism? Very interesting. So first of all, metabolism, as the word implies, in biochemistry, it is the sum total or the sum of all the chemical transformation that takes place in a cell or in the whole organism, which occurs through series of enzyme catalyzed reactions, okay, that constitute a metabolic pathway or metabolic pathways. That is the chemical definition of metabolism. All right, it is the sum total of all the chemical reactions, the chemical transformation that occur in the human cell. Okay, that is metabolism. Now, metabolism happens during specific reaction. Addition of atoms or removal of atoms is what constitutes a particular pathway, and that is metabolism. Are we together? That is the first thing you need to note when you think about metabolism. Okay. Secondly, we need to also know that during metabolism, okay, there is either a breaking down or a building. That is either a biosynthesis, that is anabolism, or a breakdown of macromolecule, that is catabolism. This is what leads us towards the types of metabolism. All right, so let's proceed to the types of metabolism. Okay, the types of metabolism. So far we have discussed what metabolism is. Okay, so we proceed to the types of metabolism. The types of metabolism. Now, there are basically two main types of metabolism, which are one, catabolism. Catabolism. So let's look at what catabolism is. Catabolism is the degradative phase of anabolism, where complex nutrients such as carbohydrates, your proteins, your lipids, nucleic acid are broken down to yield smaller byproducts, smaller and simple byproducts such as your lactic acid, carbon dioxide, amino group from proteins, that is from amino acid. That is the full meaning of catabolism. Okay, now another important thing you need to note during catabolism is the release of energy in the form of ATP or some reduced molecules such as NADH, NADPH, FADH2. All those are energy rich compounds that are produced and in the course of catabolism. Okay, so catabolism is the degradative phase of anabolism. Do you understand? So that's basically what catabolism is all about. If you have been following, you understand that catabolism is actually breaking down complex molecules, and those complex molecules are your complex nutrients such as what? Carbohydrates, which are the polysaccharides mainly, because you cannot break down monosaccharides such as glucose, it's polysaccharides, starch, glycogen. Okay, do you understand? That is what we are breaking down. And take note, this catabolism, it's all of them, this metabolism, catabolism, all of them have 3 stages in them. We are going to discuss that in the future very soon. Okay, so that is catabolism actually. So the byproduct of catabolism, let's memorize them: lactates, that is lactic acid, carbon dioxide, all right, amino group, and all that. Those are the product of catabolism. All right, then let's go to anabolism. So what is anabolism? Now, when we come to anabolism, anabolism is the opposite of catabolism. That means anabolism is also called biosynthesis because it's the phase of metabolism where complex molecules, complex nutrients are rebuilt in the body from simple, small macromolecules. All right, precursor molecules. These precursor molecules can be glucose, they can be acetyl-CoA. All those are examples of precursor molecules. Acetyl-CoA is used to synthesize what? Fatty acid, through fatty acid synthesis, that occurs in the cytosol. We all know that glucose is used to build up what? Glycogen in the liver when you have what we call the positive caloric balance, when the intake of your food or nutrient is greater than your expenditure. So the excess are stored as glycogen. That is the process of anabolism. And I told you that in catabolism there is a release of energy in the form of ATP, but in the process of anabolism is the opposite. There's an input of energy. Are you following? There's an input of energy in anabolism. That is to say, in the form of ATP or reduced molecules such as NADH, NADPH, FADH2, energy is imputed. All right, and we all know that this energy we are talking about is Gibbs free energy. We learned that in bioenergetics. Okay, if you have not learned that, go and watch videos on bioenergetics, biochemolysis videos, you will see it. So that is how it is. Okay, that is how it is. Now we need to come to the understanding and realization that when we talk about anabolism and catabolism, they are taking place in the cell or in an organism. Okay, in the cell or in an organism. That means even outside the cell, metabolism can occur. Take note, we are going to learn that in the next stage where we'll talk about the stages of metabolism. Are we together? And before we get to that, there is what we call the energy relationship between anabolism and catabolism. We can establish that here, right? Energy relationship. You know that during catabolism, molecules such as ATP is released, NADPH, all right, DH, and what? FADH2. Peradventure, you don't know the meaning of this. ATP means adenosine triphosphate, NADPH means nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, NADH means nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, FADH2 is what? Flavine adenine dinucleotide. Okay, these are energy molecules. All right, so during catabolism these are released. Okay, now during anabolism, this is during what? Catabolism. Thank God for those that are following. Okay, this is during what? During catabolism. Now what happens during anabolism? During anabolism, all these molecules are imputed into the process of anabolism. Okay, all these molecules are imputed. So during anabolism, so during the relationship is that during catabolism, byproducts such as what? such as carbon dioxide are produced. Okay, what else? Amine group, all right, and water, H2O. All these are byproducts of this anabolism. Okay, now these byproducts can be reused in the process of anabolism. You can see the relationship now, right? Can be reused in the process of anabolism. So there's a great link between catabolism and anabolism, energy and precursors. You see, during catabolism, acetyl-CoA, acetyl-CoA is produced. This acetyl-CoA is also useful during anabolism. Are you with me? Amine groups, they are also useful during anabolism. So the products of catabolism are useful in anabolism. All right, both energy and precursors are supplied to in the process of anabolism. Are we good? So that is a relationship between catabolism and anabolism. So let's proceed to the next one. Stages of metabolism. The stages of metabolism. Pay attention. What are the stages of metabolism? So metabolism is classified into three main stages. Please, I want you to follow suit. All right, we have three main stages of catabolism. First one is what? The first one is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, very important for you to know this. Now, hydrolysis is the breakdown of a particular molecule, macromolecule, with water. Okay, so polysaccharides are broken down to glucose, to fructose, and to all those monosaccharides, those subunits that makes up the polysaccharide, by water. All right, then proteins are broken down to amino acids. Lipids are broken down to fatty acids and glycerol. All right, nucleic acid can be broken down to nucleotides, to nucleoside, and to nitrogenous bases. You see, this is the first process, and this process mainly occurs in the alimentary tract, in the gut. All right, how does it happen? Digestive enzymes will act on food materials, okay, in the stomach, in the small intestine. Lipases, examples of digestive enzyme, lipases. All right, your proteolytic enzymes such as trypsin, renin, okay, your amylases that breaks down starch. All those are examples of digestive enzymes that break down complex molecules in the alimentary tract. That is the process of hydrolysis. All right, now the second stage of metabolism is what we call the preparatory stage. Okay, the preparatory stage. What is the preparatory stage all about? Now, the preparatory stage is where monosaccharides, amino acid, and other small molecules enters into various pathway in the cell. Okay, glucose enters into glycolytic pathway in the cell, while amino acid enter into transamination. Okay, fatty acids enter into beta oxidation. All these are the preparatory stage, where you have your small molecules, that is what was yielded from hydrolysis. They go into different pathways to yield a little amount of energy. Little amount. You can calculate how many energy molecules, ATP, were yielded during glycolysis, right? That is where it is yielded. Okay, so that is a preparatory stage. Okay, if you are following me, you will get to understand all this. Then the last stage we are going to look at today is the oxidative stage. Oxidative what? Stage or phase. Okay, oxidative stage. Now, this is where acetyl-CoA enters into TCA cycle. Remember, acetyl-CoA is the central metabolite Now, this oxidative stage is mainly about acetyl-CoA. You see, amino acids breakdown will give acetyl-CoA, fatty acids breakdown will give acetyl-CoA. You can see that acetyl-CoA is the central metabolite. Now, when this particular acetyl-CoA goes into TCA cycle, okay, TCA cycle to give you carbon dioxide and to give you other intermediates of the TCA cycle, that is where we call it oxidative stage. And after that, all the molecules that will be produced, the energy molecule that will be produced in this oxidative, they will go into electron transport chain. Okay, so the product, let me show you. This is acetyl-CoA. Okay, acetyl-CoA is gotten from glucose from all fatty acids. So when you get it, what will happen to this acetyl-CoA? Acetyl-CoA will go into what? TCA cycle. Okay, this is TCA cycle. When acetyl-CoA goes into TCA cycle, different energy molecules will be produced, like NADH. NADH will be produced. Okay, how many? 3 of them for a single acetyl-CoA. We know that already. FADH2 be produced. Okay, carbon dioxide be produced. So these energy molecules will now go into what? Will now go into electron transport chain. That is the oxidative phosphorylation that we have been talking about. Electron transport chain. Okay, transport chain, ETC, where all this will now produce ATP that the body will now use. Are you following? This is the oxidative phase. So these are the 3 stages of metabolism that everyone needs to understand. In our next class, we are going to look at integration of metabolism, where carbohydrates, protein, and lipids are coordinated. These 3 macromolecules are coordinated for supply of accurate and efficacious supply of what? Energy for the body's use. So now the next thing we are going to talk about is integration of metabolism. Now this is a 4th thing that is in our list for this particular class. So integration of metabolism is actually the coordination between the 3 main metabolites, those as carbohydrate, protein, and lipid. This is called integration. And now the significance of integration of metabolism is to ensure the production or the adequate supply of fuel. Okay, all these 3 basic metabolites, they ensure the supply of fuel. Carbohydrate gives birth to glucose and all that are the essential fuels in the body. Even protein give rise to amino acids that serves as fuel, like alanine can be converted back to carbohydrates. Then lipids give rise to fatty acids and glycerol, which are also fuel. So integration of metabolism ensures adequate supply of fuel in starvation states and in well-fed states. Okay, so one of the important things you need to know about integration is the definition, which I've already given to you. Secondly, the significance. Okay, that is the importance, which I've already given to you. All right, then another thing you need to understand under integration is the states of the body. Okay, which is first, positive caloric balance. All right, positive caloric balance. What does this mean? Positive caloric balance is the state of the body where the total number of fuel taken in or food substances taken in is more than the body's expenditure. So you have excess left to be stored. So most of the times during positive caloric balance, glucose is stored as glycogen, also can be converted to fats, that is triacylglycerol, and are stored in the liver. Excess can also be stored in the adipose tissue. All right, glycogen can be stored is stored mostly in the muscles. So that is during positive caloric balance, when the intake of foods or nutrient is greater than the body's expenditure. All right, this is also in integration, and that is why during positive caloric balance, glucose is the main fuel in the body. Okay, muscles and other tissues make use of glucose. Then there's what we call your negative caloric balance. Negative caloric balance. All right, now we have neutral. Neutral is when the intake is equals to the body's expenditure of the energy, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on these two because they're the most outstanding. Negative caloric balance is when the intake of food substances or nutrient is less than the body's expenditure. Therefore, the body manages it, regulates it. So muscles will be using fatty acid instead of glucose because there's no enough glucose, because the sole fuel for the brain is glucose. So the brain will be making use of the glucose, while the muscles and other tissues make use of fatty acid as their sole fuel in order to what? Reduce the metabolic burden. Are you with me? So this is what we call integration, how different fuels are used according to the states of the body. Are you following? That is integration of metabolism. What did I say about it? Can somebody remind us? I said it is what? The coordination. All right, it is the coordination. This was the coordination of the three main metabolites, and we know the three main metabolites, right? Which are what? The carbohydrates, okay. Second one is what? Second one is protein. Third one is lipids. And when I say lipids, I mean mostly fats and oils. Okay, the fats and oil that we all actually knows, because that's the fat and oil will give you free fatty acid and glycerol. Okay, integration, how all these three is coordinated in order to yield what's enormous fuel, adequate fuel supply for the body's use. So that is the meaning of integration. So in our next class, we are going to talk about the main pathways that are involved in this metabolic regulation. Now I'll just list them for us in this class. In our next class, we'll talk about them. Okay, first one, the first metabolic pathways. So the metabolic pathways we have are one, pay close attention. Okay, one is glycolysis, and I know by now we all know what glycolysis is. Two is glycogenesis. Now, glycogenesis is the generation of or regeneration of glycogen, so don't confuse it. We have TCA, we have TCA, which is tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA. We have a lot of them. We have 4. We have pentose phosphate pathway, also known as exose monophosphate shunt. If you have done it before, you know that is where we generate the molecule called ribose 5-phosphate that is used for the biosynthesis of nucleotides. That's also where we generate nicotinamide dinucleotide phosphate that is used in cholesterol biosynthesis also. We remember, right? We also have gluconeogenesis. We know gluconeogenesis, right? These are all examples of pathways that are very necessary in this integration of metabolism. Watch out for the next video. Stay tuned, okay?